Why resisting tinnitus causes the suffering to continue. I'll leave you with this quote. I'll start it off with this quote. That which you resist shall persist. Make sure to stay to the end of the video because you're not going to want to miss any of this. Your suffering is caused by resistance to pain, or resistance to a situation or an experience that you want to try and control. When you resist it, you are inadvertently causing yourself to suffer. And this is true for like really anything. If you think about it, maybe you're forced to move to a city you don't like. And maybe you're like, I don't like this city. I don't want to be here. It's terrible. Well, you're going to not be able to see the positives in where you're living. You're only going to see the negatives when you resist it. That's what happens. Your brain turns on. It only sees the negatives. The traffic here sucks. I don't want to be here. We've all met cynical people like that. And they go through life highly opinionated. And they have labeled everything around them. And when they come up to something like tinnitus, they have a lot of resistance towards it because they can't control it. Usually these people can have anxiety, they can have depression, they can kind of be on edge in general because they're constantly going through life scanning for threats, scanning for things they don't like, labeling everything, judging everything. It's not their fault, it's just how they have been trained by society to do. I was that person until I realized, wow, I can untrain myself from a lot of this labeling, a lot of this resisting towards the things that I don't like. And I can actually become a person that just kind of flows with life, It just kind of goes with the flow. And it's kind of like water. If something happens, well, that we don't like, we're just not going to resist it. If we can change it, we'll try and change it. If we can't, we're going to try and change our response to that. And in doing that, we actually take the power away from the thing that's trying to cause us to suffer. That's the secret. When you no longer resist tinnitus, you rob it of its power it has over you. Because you're like, let it ring. It's fine. It's not going to stop my day. I'm going to keep living, and I am going to keep thriving. And even if I have to do it with a ring in my ear, it's totally fine. Not that big of a deal. See, if that is your response, and at first it's going to be really challenging, and it might be like, how am I going to not hate this sound? That takes time. That is not overnight. And by reframing your thoughts, by continuing to live, even though your brain is telling you, this is terrible, we don't want to live today, this is horrible, I can't believe we have to live with this sound. When your brain is telling you those thoughts and you continue to reframe the thoughts into more realistic thoughts, and then you continue to live, even though you don't feel like it, this is retraining your brain. It's called neuroplasticity. And as you begin to retrain your brain, because your brain is very plastic, it will feed you thoughts that you give the thoughts power to. So the more power you give to realistic thoughts are, I'm not talking about, this isn't positive thinking, power thinking. This is realizing that your thoughts are not you, and that you don't have to believe the thoughts that are not based in reality, right? Trying to predict the future, not based in reality. Why? Because you don't have a time machine. So saying you're always going to suffer, that's a delusional thought. You see what I did there? I just challenged a tinnitus stronghold thought. And I said, how do I know I'm always going to suffer from this if I don't know the future? I can't say that. I can't even believe that. So then I reframed the thought, I might not always suffer. In fact, there are moments where I don't suffer. In fact, millions of people go on to live completely happy lives. I can get all my happiness back and then some. That's reframing it, not into a positive thought, into a realistic thought. It's just, a lot of people are like, oh, you're talking about positive thinking. I'm not talking about positive thinking. I'm talking about challenging all of your thoughts, holding every thought captive, and reframing the thoughts into not positive, realistic. Okay, so I'm not trying to delude myself with inaccurate thinking that's positive just because it's what I want to think. I want to think realistic thoughts. I want my thoughts grounded in reality. I cannot resist tinnitus because I can't control it. So trying to resist something that you can't control is delusional. You cannot resist what you can't control. You must learn to accept it if you can't control it. And that is how you do it, by continuing to live, even though you don't feel like it, and continuing to challenge your negative thoughts, or your, I say, unrealistic thoughts, and replacing them with more realistic thoughts. And when you do this, practice this every single day, you can get really good at it, and you, one day, can wake up and not be bothered by tinnitus at all. It takes time, it's not instant, but if you want to learn how to do that, I would love to work with you. Click below, book a 60-minute session with me, and I will help you get your silence back. And until next time, make sure to smash the subscribe button and share this video with a friend. I'll talk to you later. Peace.